Hello everyone, my name is Grace. Welcome back to JMay. Today I'll be sharing my experience of traveling during the pandemic. So I'm actually born and raised in Malaysia and I've been living abroad for a period of time. So this video is going to talk about my experience of coming back home during the COVID-19 pandemic, and I hope this will be a helpful one for you if you're also planning for a trip back to Malaysia. Yes. So what are things that you need to prepare before you come in? Now there's 4 things you need to prepare. Now the first thing is the travel notice. So at a time when I'm planning for my travel, the Malaysia government still needs you to have like a travel notice before you can come in. So to obtain that, you actually need to go log into your local embassy website and then download this form called a letter of undertaking, fill it up, and then submit it, and then you can actually get a travel notice from them. Apparently, I recently got a news with effect of 1st of May. They are saying that LOU and travel notice is no longer needed, but I strongly recommend that you will go to your local embassy website and just check whether or not there is a official statement about that, because apparently not all the countries have such a statement, but when I come in, they didn't really check for it. So this is my experience. Now the second thing that you might need to prepare is that please download this app called MySejahtera app into your phone and register for an account. So MySejahtera app is actually an app that the Malaysian government has came out with to help the citizens with contact tracing, and as well as getting updated with the COVID-19 information. So you need to actually have that for contact tracing. To have that beforehand will really speed up the process. Alright, the third thing, I think you don't really have to talk about it, is your flight tickets as well as the hotel booking for quarantine. If you're opting for a premium package option, you might need to think about how to book for your hotel. If you're not, you will also have to go to MYEG, and the link I'll put it in the description, and book for your standard package hotel. Now, one last thing that's not mandatory, but I would strongly recommend you to have it, is the pre-departure COVID swab test. So some of the airlines might require you to have a negative test before you can even board the plane. So if you are actually going to such airlines, you really need to do one. So that's mandatory. But to come into Malaysia, that's actually not mandatory. If you do not have one, you can do it on the spot when you're in the airport, with a fee of course. But having it can actually shorten your duration of quarantine. So all the duration of quarantine, there's like a few days. So the shortest one is 7 days, and then it's 10 days, and then it's the 14 days of quarantine as of the latest SOP. How are you going to get like the 7 days duration quarantine? And the first thing is you need to have a negative swab test, which is recognized by the country, which means it has to be either in English or Malay. So if you're not coming in a country that uses this 2 language, make sure you have it translated, or you go to a place whereby they can give you an English report. Yeah. Now, another thing is you need to make sure that you're not coming in or transiting from a VOC country. Now, what does VOC stands for? It's variant of concern. Now, this is something that is very, very recent, that the Ministry of Health here in Malaysia came out with a list of countries that is called a VOC country. You can go into their website and there will be a list. I think that's about like 20 or 30 countries or not. So if you're actually coming from any of these countries or transiting from any of these countries, you will have to be quarantined for 14 days. There's no questions. Yeah. So like I said just now, if you do not have a COVID swab test to show them and you're not coming from a VOC country, you will be quarantined for 10 days. So these are like the duration of quarantine, and it will help you to plan accordingly, and it's very, very related to how much money you're gonna spend. So now, speaking of money, let me share how much me and my sister have spent for this quarantine. So hopefully this will give you like a rough guide of how much money you should set aside for a trip. So for me and my sister, we're actually coming in from Singapore. So on flight tickets, both of us spent about 450 Sing dollars. And then that's inclusive of the baggage, because we got a lot of luggage. Yeah, but anyway, that's 450 Sing dollars. So for our pre-departure COVID test, we spent about $300. And then for the whole quarantine expenditures, it's about 1,000 Sing dollars, yeah, approximately, if you were to change the currency rate and whatnot. So here's a table of the breakdown of how much we spent for our quarantine expenditures. So hopefully this gives you a rough guide on how you should plan financially for this trip. Alright, so now I'm gonna share about the whole process of actually coming into Malaysia. So once you touch down, there will be like a few stations in the immigration center you have to pass through like one by one. So the first station is you will be greeted by some officers and they will ask you to scan a QR code using your MySejahtera app. So this is where, if you have this beforehand, it will really speed up the process. So yeah, you scan a QR code and then there will be like a form for you to fill up. It's all like your IC, your name, and then your address of quarantine and all this. Yeah. So in this station, the officer will also give you a lanyard with a QR code on. So this is something that you have to scan every single station. And at the end of, when you leave the airport, you have to hand this back to them. Alright, so after this station, the next station is where they will check for your COVID report, so that COVID swab report that you have. So if you have it, you just show it to them. If you don't have it, it's fine. They will do a swab test there and then with a fee, of course. Yeah, and this is where they will also tell you how long do you have to be quarantined. Is it a 7 days? Is it a 10 days? Or is it a 14 days? Yeah. Now after this, you should go to a station whereby I think they should be checking for your travel notice as well as your LOU, but my time when I was there, they didn't ask for it. They only asked for my hotel confirmation letter. Yeah, this is something whether or not you have a premium package or a standard package, you will have something from the hotel or MyEG website. So because me and my sister opted for premium package, so we got one from the hotel, and then when you hand it to them, they will ask you to fill up a slip of driver information. So this driver information will also be given to you by the hotel beforehand. So it has, like the vehicle number and then the driver's name and the phone number. You just have to fill it up in a slip and then give it all to the officer over there. Now after that, the next station is our common immigration procedure. You just have to hand in your passport. They're going to check your face and then your thumbprint and all this. And after you pass that station is where you give up your lanyard with the QR code. And also, you have to give them up that slip for the driver if you are opted for a premium package. So just give it to them and then it's a waiting time. You just have to wait for them to call for your name. So you might be wondering, when are we going to get our baggage if you have things, So this is where they will call you with batches and then you will go to your belt and then collect your baggage. Now throughout this procedure, you will be guided by an officer. So this officer will be following you and guiding you throughout the whole, the journey. And then once you get your bag and your luggage, they will guide you to your driver according to what you fill up in the slip. So make sure you actually fill it out properly and, make sure it's legible handwriting. Yeah. So when you're up there, they will pair you up with your driver, get up the car, and then they will drive you to the hotel. So yay! This is where day one of quarantine starts. So this is the whole process of how you touch down from the aircraft and then to your hotel. So here's my experience of coming back home during the pandemic. Though I have to say I do not recommend pandemic traveling unless it is deemed necessary. Because, there is a risk of infection and then it's also quite a burden economically and psychologically. If you really have to do it, I hope that this video is helpful for you and it's informative. Yeah, so all the best, guys. Major shout out to all the frontline staff in the airport, in the hotel, and then throughout the whole journey. It was so smooth and they worked so hard. I can see that to keep us safe during this tough time. So yeah, kudos to them. And there's also one more thing that I really want to say thanks to. So it's this group in Facebook called the Malaysian Quarantine Support Group. It's like a forum, everybody around the world, all our fellow Malaysians around the world has been discussing about, their experience of coming back home and also encouraging each other during this tough time. You get a lot of information about how to come back home, and what best is that it's all updated. So, I did a lot of my research by reading the post and also the information they posted in the group. And I'll leave the link in the description. So right here, I just want to say thanks to everyone in that group that has given me a lot of help when I'm planning on how to come back home. So yeah, if you're coming back home, just stay safe, guys. And if you like this video, please share it and also subscribe to our channel. Not to forget to click on that little bell up there so that you'll be notified when we have new videos. So that's all for today. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.